guys. Before the interview starts, I just wanted to say that this interview was recorded August 19th, before Shane's departure off the podcast. I still have maybe 3 or 4 other interviews that do feature Shane that were recorded prior to his departure October 14th, 2025. So keep that in mind. Enjoy the interview. Thank you.
So Highland Noise Podcast, I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Leah.
There's some questions to say about our upcoming album, Love and Other Crimes. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
I'm actually really happy with the response to the announcement. It is a little bit different from what I've ever done. So it's been really cool seeing people going out, pre-ordering it, and being as excited as I am about it. So it's really cool.
That is awesome. Hell yeah.
That's great to hear. The album is incredible. I've been patiently waiting for this one. Your team reached out a long time ago when singles were still rolling out. So now that the album's finally here, I'm glad we're getting to chat.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice to hear. Yeah, it's been a long journey of singles. So I'm glad that the album is finally has a date and ready to come.
Yeah. I'm curious just about the timeline on this, just to get a full scope, when the writing process kind of started and when you had masters in hand. Rough dates, they don't have to be exact.
Oh, well, that's a bit of a journey, to be honest.
Get comfortable.
So, yeah, get comfortable. This is I does say this in the press release, but I think you have to probably dig a little bit to find this information. So I ordinarily am a singer-songwriter and I write heavy rock. Mm-hmm. And so this album was actually presented to me as a project that I could front. I did not write it. Okay. So the people who did write it were Mutt Lange, as you know, Tony Nilsson, and then there was another artist named Rochelle Royale. I think her Christian name is Lerner. It's in the credits. Mm-hmm. And they worked on this album in 2013.
Damn.
2013, 2014. So that's kind of when that happened. A whole bunch of things occurred. And in 2021, I was presented with the opportunity to work on this album, give it a bit more of a rock flavor because it was very pop oriented before. I mean, it's still pop oriented, but compared to what it was, and then kind of bring it to life from there. So I've personally been working on this album since 2021, but the actual album itself has existed since 2013.
Damn.
Whoa. So
yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Okay,
yes.
So what was your initial reaction when they presented this body of work to you? Was it like, damn, a lot has to be done? Or was it like, oh, it's almost there, it just needs a couple touches?
Honestly, so I need to set the scene for you just so you can understand where my head was at.
Yeah.
So it was May 2021. In October of 2020, I had moved to Stockholm, Sweden to write music and an album for my rock band Evil Walks, it's a solo project, but I present it as a band. And it had been really rough. You know, Sweden didn't have as many restrictions as other countries did during the pandemic, so I was still able to work. And I had been presented with a record deal for my work, and then it just kind of evaporated. I was really upset. And my manager called me at 10 p.m. at night because the Swedish immigration people were like, yo, you've been here a very long time on this tourist visa. You need to give us a reason why you're still here. I'm like, the pandemic, my country closed its borders. I can't get back to the US. They're like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I'd been on a very long train trip up to this place called Nijmegen. I can't say it properly. To get my papers sorted out. So it's 10 p.m., maybe 11 o'clock at night. I've been up since 3:30, 4 a.m. It's cold in Stockholm because it always is.
Yeah.
And in May at least. And I get this phone call from my manager and he was like, you're going to really hate me at first, but then you're going to be really excited. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, is this about the record deal? And he's like, no, it's about something completely different. I was like, okay, cool. Hit me with it. He's like, how would you like to work with Mutt Lange? And I was like, yeah, come again, absolutely. This has been a dream since I was a child. I'd love to. He's like, cool, because we have this project that used to belong to someone else. It still does, but they need a front for it. I was like, hang on a minute, what do you mean by a front for it? And they were like, well, the songs are written. And in my head at first, I was like, excuse me?
I'm a songwriter.
Yeah, I was like, what am I, chopped liver? How dare you? And I was quite upset about it for a minute. And he's like, look, I was like, oh, and then in my head I was like, okay, you're being really egotistical right now. You need to step out of your ego give it a chance. Let's have a listen to these songs before, because I hadn't even heard it yet. And I was like, okay, you know what? I am mad at you, but send me the songs. And he was like, okay, you can take 48 hours if you want to do it or not. I know that it's, you know, I know that it might be ruffling a few of your artistic feathers. And I was like, yeah, it is actually. So sends me sends me the original versions, which are very poppy. They sound phenomenal. Rochelle's got an insane voice. Like, she's just wonderful. And I sat and I listened to Hysterical Love was the first song that I heard. And I went, oh, I think I could do this. Yeah. It's not my usual thing, but I got really excited because I really loved that song in particular. So within 10 minutes, I called my manager back. I was like, cool, let's do it. What do we have to do? How much say do I get in this? Like, let's do it. And although the tracks sounded done, they needed a lot of work because they were so far in the pop realm, and we had to kind of, one of the conditions of me wanting to do it would be like being able to put my persona as a hard rock singer, like rock singer, into it, and trying to find that like marriage between the two genres that was still going to be approved by, you know, Mutt and Tony. And then eventually we got Tommy Denander in he did the original guitars. He came and played new ones, and then he actually finalized the mixing towards the end, which, yeah, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Masters in hand January of this year.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Right, so it was a labor of love to get there. Can we talk a little bit about the process of you taking these songs and morphing them to make sense for you and your artistic vision?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. I am very comfortable in that hard rock genre. I am jazz trained, but they really only let me in because they were like, well, you're not really a jazz singer, but, you know, you can sing, you can come in. That was for my post-grad. They're like, everyone's going to be singing jazz, just do your best. Yeah. They were really nice about it. They let me, I learned so much. And I also learned that, wow, I can't sing jazz and I wish I could because that's phenomenal. So that was kind of my experience at first in the studio. I recorded all of my vocals in Bagpipe Studios in Stockholm. I think it's called something else now. It's the old Abbey Road location over there. And I was in the studio with Tony Nielsen pretty much every day for like a month and a half, 2 months. And then a year later, I had to come back and re-record vocals for a few of the songs because they weren't quite there. And there was even the songs I was like, yeah, I've got this, like Hysterical Love. I was like, let's sing this one first. I've got this. And Tony would be like, no, it's not that. Do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then Mutt would listen and send his feedback. And I would walk out of those sessions just being like, I can't sing. I've made a grievous error in judgment. I cannot sing. This is terrible. I can't do this. I am not a pop singer. And, you know, Rochelle's vocals were so insanely good. I was like, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. And then, you know, Mutt Lang would reach out and be like, yeah, you're just wonderful. It's sounding great. And they'd all be very supportive. And I think it did end up, but it was definitely I learned a lot of things and it was really fantastic. So I can add it to my songwriting now.
There you go. Hell yeah.
So what song off the album took the longest to kind of redo and make your own, and which one turned out to be a personal favorite?
Ooh, good questions. I think the hardest song for me was a song that has not come out yet. It will be on the album, and I believe, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
This will be out closer to the record if that helps.
That does help. There is a song, there's a song called Unscrew You that is going to be the kind of lead song from that album that's coming out. When we recorded it first in 2021, and it was just, we recorded it in the wrong key because all of the songs we went through and found the keys that would be good for my voice. So we kind of misstepped the first time, and so then we had to go back in 2022 in like August, September 2022 and re-record it. And then I think I also had to drop some vocals in it again. And then we had the issue of the backing vocals, which we had to fix. That song got to a point where I said to the label, I was like, how about I just don't submit this one? How about we just have this as a bonus track? Like, I'm done. Yeah. Like, it's a great song. I love the song, but I was like, I'm so done with the amount of labor that's gone into this. And then I think my personal favorite, it's probably a tie between Levitate, which I think is such a beautiful song. And then probably Light Show, which is coming out in September. Those are probably my two favorites, mainly because they were the most fun to sing.
beautiful.
Hell yeah, love it. So how did the track list for the album come about? Were tracks written to be in certain spots, or did you guys just kind of shuffle around to see what fit?
We kind of just shuffled around to see what fit, but we definitely had the like the album order was already planned out, and then we just kind of went with what felt right.
All right, just based solely off the vibes.
Yeah, well, that's how I did it. I don't know if there was like a greater plan being discussed that was then communicated to me by my manager and like to influence me, but I was not aware of any discussions.
Exactly. Yeah.
The mind games that are played in the back end.
Jeez, yeah. And would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're kind of recreating the album?
I definitely had days where I was like, this is amazing. I'm so excited. And I think this has continued through the whole album. Like just very stoked to be there, to be honest.
Good, yeah.
Because even though I did not get to write these songs, I was given the chance to bring them to life. And from what I was told, they may not have been released otherwise. So I think it's a really big honor, especially when another artist who is out there and working allows you to work on their music. I think that's a really big, like that really meant a lot to me. And I was very careful every time I went into a performance to remember that I had to do them that honor and make sure that they were good. And then I definitely had days where I'm like, wow, this is so different to what I do. This is not how I would write this. This isn't what I would necessarily pick to have. Like, what am I doing? I think I definitely had those self-doubt moments, but it was not a reflection on the album or the songs. It was just my inner self kind of, at war, because when you're growing and getting better at something, there's always that old part of yourself that's like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. So were you able to touch the lyrics at all, or did you just kind of leave it as is and then sonically you had your touch on it?
I was allowed to change 2 lyrics, mainly because one of them referred to hair color and it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Actually, both of them referred to hair color and they wouldn't have made sense with me. So I was allowed to do that. But mainly it was sonically, and then with the music videos. The music videos, I really got to put my personality into them, which was fun. And then all of the shoots and the graphics and things. And I did really get a chance to play a character I don't usually get to play. So that's fun.
How nice.
That's
okay,
dope.
cool.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should doing the car with friends, in dark with headphones on, is work an album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I definitely think the first listen should be done with some really nice high quality headphones in like a cool moody room just to get through it. And then after that, I think just blast it on the speakers. There's definitely some songs on here that I would say are party songs.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Sassy, catchy, sultry.
Ooh, I like the theme. Okay, fuck yeah.
Those are good. And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I definitely firstly, I want people who have followed me and follow my heavy rock music, I want them to go into it with an open mind. And I want people to listen to the record and just be in a good mood. Like, these songs are really fun. They're really catchy. They're all really positive and upbeat. They've got attitude. I think they're really fun to listen to, especially if you're like hyping yourself up to go out at night. I think they're really good for that too.
I agree. Hell yeah.
And are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of the album, positive or negative?
The entire album.
yeah.
Literally everything. I mean, look, it's been a really crazy journey, to be perfectly honest. When I was first presented with this opportunity, I was an independent artist. I had management, but I was not signed. I did not have any distribution deals. So this was all on a hope and a prayer. My manager managed to find an investor to invest in the album so we could actually record it, because obviously it's very expensive to do things like that at such a high level. So just staying the course while I was independent. The first 3 singles were released independently. We did manage to find distribution, but financially it was all independent. So Boys, Hysterical Love and Shush were all self-released. The videos for Boys, Shush, Are You Chicken and Levitate were all made prior to Frontiers coming on board. When they heard the album, they were really excited. So I think the high point was absolutely getting signed. Like, that's been a dream of mine. So that was wonderful. But just definitely the independent artist route was really tough, and just, you know, handling these songs with respect, because at the end of the day there were 3 other people that originally created them, and I wanted to make sure I did a good job, because, you know, that's their babies. Like, you have to respect that. Yeah, and then I think just also my own, at the very beginning, my own ego, just being, you know, just being like an ego as an artist, and be like, wait, wasn't I good enough on my own?
Yeah, I totally get that. But it is like, it's a brand new challenge outside of creating art to then do someone else's art, well, 3 other people's art justice. That's quite big shoes to fill.
Absolutely. And it was always a dream of mine to work with Mutt Lange. I'm a huge AC/DC fan. Like Bon Scott Era Power Age is one of my favorite albums. So Mutt Lange has been a name that I've known about since I started playing music when I was like 11. So this really was like this childhood dream. I would, even when I was in high school, I'd be like, I'm going to record with Mutt Lange one day. I'm from a beach town in Australia. And people were like, okay, drinking hard, have a nice day. I'm like, I will.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
Yeah, look at that.
Damn straight.
Fulfilled the prophecy. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Ooh, snack of choice. If they have bananas.
Okay. Gas station banana. I'm a gas station grape lover, so I feel it. I get it. I haven't seen a gas station grape. Gosh, I've got to look for those. I don't like vouch for all of them. It's like, you gotta look at it. You gotta, you know, inspect the cup and make sure, you know, they're not mushy. But if they're like crisp and crunchy, they're gonna be like the best grapes you've ever had. You know.
Okay, I'm gonna add that. I'm gonna add that to my little.
I think she has stock in gas station grapes the way she talks about them.
No, dude, they're just awesome. You know, I'm not sponsored. I wish I was. Wawa, shout out. And on the topic of food, if your music project was a dish, what dish would it be and why?
Oh, that's really hard. I would say it's going to be some kind of sweet and spicy noodle, but the spice is pretty big of a kick. So you bite into it, you're like, oh, this is really tasty. Wow, that's hot.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be it, because it presents it. I feel like this album presents itself as one thing, and then when you really get listening, there's all these little surprises in there that are going to just take the listener like, oh, okay, that's cool. So not an unpleasant spice, like a good spice.
Exactly.
So that would be my reasoning behind that.
All right. And for the last couple of questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Oh, okay. Death row, last meal with a drink. Well, okay. So I am plant-based.
Okay.
But if it was, and I'm deathly allergic to shellfish. So my last meal on death row, I'd be getting lobster. I'd be getting shrimp. I'd be getting crab.
You're taking yourself out.
I'm absolutely taking myself out. I'm not going to let someone else do that. Absolutely not. I'm
on your own terms.
That's crazy. Okay. Oh my god, what are you washing it down with?
You know what? I'm lactose intolerant, so I am gonna
God.
get some kind of, because I haven't eaten dairy in such a long time. I'm just gonna find like the biggest Oreo milkshake, weird, like it's gonna be delicious, and we're gonna like wash that all down, and then I'll probably just like pass away on my own.
Yeah.
Because like that's the only person who's going to be doing that to me, except for natural causes.
There you go. What happily ever after, man. That's crazy.
Wow, that's wild.
And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Fictional world for a week. Ooh, that is so tricky, because all of the fiction that I read is probably like, I love reading it, but damn, wouldn't want to be there. I'm just looking at all of my books now. Definitely don't want to be in No Country for Old Men. Absolutely not. Interesting. I'd say, you know what? I'm staring at Pride and Prejudice, so maybe I'll go hang around in Pride and Prejudice, because all my other worlds are a bit scary, and I'm not cut out for dragon hunting.
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice seems chill. You know?
Yeah, it does.
And I've asked the last question. Every single person who's spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Oh, it is. Mine is purple.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. Could have guessed by the comforter behind you. It's not your hair color, though.
Right, I was thrown off. Me personally, yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions I have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I'm just super excited for the album. If people have pre-ordered it or pre-saved it, that's great. If you haven't, I'd love it if you do. And yeah, just come listen to my music. That album is going to be sick. Love and Other Crimes.
Hell yeah.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you, Sal. It's been Leah Martin-Brown, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.